Good morning. Welcome to the final edition, live edition of ONNPoint. We're live on TV and we're live on Facebook, the final live edition for 2019. And on Tuesday, December 17th, we're going to have a legendary lawyer. If you've been in Sault Ste. Marie any length of time, you know the name Frank Sarlo. He's doing a lot of good works in this community, and we'll be back to talk to Frank right after these commercial messages.
This is On TV.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room, create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place at the right time in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
From everyone here at East Street Pizza Company, happy holidays.
Welcome back to ONNPoint for Tuesday, December 17th, and this is the final live show of 2019, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce, and I mean this, he's a legendary lawyer. You've got to be, if you've been in Sault Ste. Marie any length of time, you know the name Frank Sarlo. Welcome to ONNPoint, Frank. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you for having me, Andy, but I'm not sure about the legendary thing.
Well, that's my point of view, and as the host of this program, I'm entitled to it. Anyway, let's start with this, Frank. Give the viewers, the five that don't know who you are, maybe a little bit of your background and how you became a very good lawyer in this city.
Well, you know, I practiced law here for close to 40 years, And I was very fortunate during that time to have some great partners, and we built a very strong firm. Big decision right at the beginning with Frank Caputo and Angelo Aiello was to become experts in our own fields, and we divided up the practice of law in that way, and I was allowed to really practice in a restricted amount of areas, and it really worked out well for all of us, and we enjoyed the practice of law.
It did, for sure. Was there something early on that triggered it for you, Frank, in terms of you wanted to be a lawyer?
Well, you know, when you grew up where I did in the West End, you had truly legendary figures like Judge Vanini and the doctors Greco and Gardy.
Right.
And most of the kids in the area, their parents would, say, "Geez, when you grow up, you should be like one of them." And in my family, they were very close to Judge Vanini. So he was a super lawyer, and I guess most of the kids around wanted to become lawyers because of him.
Right, a judge is something that some people get, but it's even harder level to get to, isn't it? To become a judge.
Well, it is, because you have to go through steps, and you have to understand the courts. Early on, I decided that the court method would not be for me. That I enjoyed more working with corporations and people in planning their futures. So that's where my practice led me for the most part.
Speaking of judges, I was very fortunate several months back to interview the judge who was a chance meeting in town. That was the judge for the Paul Bernardo trial. So that was a big thrill to interview the guy that was right there. And being a lawyer and being a judge is not a very easy job, is it, Frank? We were talking before the show that you needed to put in long hours if you want to be a lawyer.
Well, lawyers, especially in my day, put in very long hours. It wasn't unusual for me to put in 12 to 15-hour days and work a little bit on the weekends also.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel after the fact now that, you were a lawyer for commercial law, that this was what you did in terms of representing companies was the way to go, and you feel that you made the right decision to do that?
Well, for me, it was an excellent decision because I enjoyed the people that I was working with, and I always tended towards organization, and you really had the opportunity to work with people and give them advice with respect to how to organize different parts of their businesses.
Right,
so it worked out well for me.
Your illustrious 40-year legal law career as a lawyer, is there anything that stands out as your greatest thrill during that time period in the city?
Well, when you work with people, the greatest thrill always is in the relationships that you develop over the periods of time. Many of the things that excited me in Sault Ste. Marie were outside of the law. I was very fortunate to have opportunities to work with a lot of people in helping in things like working towards saving the Algoma Steel.
Right.
I was the chair of the community during that time period, and we had 300 people that came forward to work to get the government to change their mind that was necessary at that time. So that was one of the most challenging things that we did, but it was something that really made everybody around us feel good. The other was saving the greyhounds, which was really, really important. And again, I was fortunate to work with Dr. Chinook and do the organizing behind the scenes while he promoted our ability to save the team. And that all, if anybody that remembers, had to be done within a 30-day period. So it was pretty exciting.
That was huge. Yeah, when I first came into the city 30 years ago, it was really a big deal because it was a critical moment. And now the Greyhounds are one of the most successful franchises in the OHL.
Right, and if you really look at it, without saving the Greyhounds at the time, we probably wouldn't have the GFL Center, which is a tremendous community center.
And also the guy heading it is from Sault Ste. Marie. So with pride, we're the only community in Canada that has the name GFL Memorial Gardens. Was that, speaking of which, Frank, was that important that we bring back the Memorial Gardens for this community?
You know, again, when you're my age and you have all the memories of the Memorial Gardens, and I think council was right in adding that to the name. You know, one of the big reasons for the tower, you know, at the time made it the Memorial Gardens, and
Right.
and lest we forget, right? Our past is extremely important for us.
Exactly. How has Sault Ste. Marie changed in the last 40 years, in your opinion? What are you seeing that we're different now than we were 30, 40 years ago?
Well, you have to remember that you know, when I first started out in law until the mid '80s, Algoma Steel had 13,500 employees.
Right.
And we were always had the highest wages. It was always a competition between Sarnia and Sault Ste. Marie for the highest wages in Canada. And in 1987, the downfall hit, and we went down to 8,000 employees. And then in 1992, we went down to 3,500 employees. Well, that hurts a city, but it also brought our people together. And we've been working ever since to diversify an economy and move forward. And you know, you take great pride in the fact the movement of having a state-of-the-art hospital, having Algoma University and Sioux College, who are all economic drivers for our community, and a great help to a lot of the other businesses.
Right, exactly. That was during that 5-year period from 1987 to 1992. That was a tremendous hit for this community, and it wasn't that long ago that happened.
Well, it was the worst time of my professional life, because acting for a number of companies and seeing interest rates go up to, in a lot of cases, 25%. A lot of the clients that I acted for, their businesses were destroyed.
Right.
And you know, you had to deal with the emotions besides the legal portion of it. And there were a lot of great people that were hurt by that. And you know, our firm, I'm really proud to say, stuck with them and did a lot of pro bono services during that time period.
Right, there was a lot of domino effects with the devastation in that 5-year period. And you bring up a good point, Frank. In the 60s and 70s, people were making a very good living in this city per capita.
Oh, you know, it was a great place to grow up.
What would you tell someone, final question about the law practice, getting into law today? Times have changed versus 40 years ago. What advice would you give somebody watching that may want to get into law today?
Well, I think it's really important for young lawyers to realize that it takes time to gain experience. And I found through my experience, it really takes 10 years to become comfortable.
Right.
And you should be wide open with your clients, and you should work, you know, you have to work hard if you're going to be a good lawyer. And, you know, you really have to want to be a good lawyer, and be prepared to do what it takes to do it. And relationships with people are the most important thing. You know, it's our obligation as lawyers not only to tell them what the law is, but also to make them feel as comfortable as possible in making their decisions.
Right, exactly. My father always used to say, it's easy to get along with people you like, but people you don't like, getting along with them and making it work is the challenge in life.
Well, but you know, in reality, 90 to 95% of the people are all very nice.
Yeah.
It's a small amount of people that put you through some aggravation.
Stay right there, Frank. Great. We'll be right back after these commercial messages with more On Point.
Government of Ontario established a $100 million affordability fund to help Ontarians who don't qualify for low-income conservation programs ease the burden of their electricity bill. Whether you rent or own your home, as long as you pay your electric bill, you could qualify. There are 3 levels of support available. The first is a home energy kit with upgrades like smart power bars and LED light bulbs. The second includes Energy Star appliances that help keep things cool during the hot summer months. The third is for electrically heated homes so that your power bills don't break the bank during those long Canadian winters. Plus, all upgrades, including installation, are completely free of charge. Visit affordabilityfund.org or call 1-855-494-FUND to find out if you qualify.
Welcome back to ONNPoint. We're live for Tuesday, December 17th, live on ONTV, live on Facebook. And this is the final show, live show of 2019. And don't worry, the best of ONNPoint will take us through the holidays, and look forward to that. And we'll be back with great live shows in 2020. And we're back with Frank Sarlo, who's a great lawyer, and we were talking about legal profession, and now let's switch gears to what Frank's doing now, and with Sweet Change, and he's still doing great things in this community. Why don't you let our viewers know what you're up to now, Frank, with Sweet Change?
Well, about 4 years ago, a group of us formed the Center for Social Justice and Good Works, and it was intended that we go out and put programs on that would teach people to go out and do good works in the community. And we started out teaching leadership programs to university and Sioux College grads. And from that and the projects that we gave them, 2 recreation programs were created in both ends of the city, you know, to give recreation to children that for one reason or another weren't getting proper recreation, and free programs for it. So it was our start, and then later we went into developing programming to assist people get into different businesses, and now we're running a program for people that, mainly on social services and Ontario Works, to either get meaningful employment, start their own businesses, or have a path to higher education. In doing that, we wanted to teach people or train them in manufacturing, wholesaling, and retailing. So to do that, we needed a business startup that we can do, and we decided on the business of chocolate. So Sweet Change is our chocolate manufacturing, wholesaling, and retail business that we started out to train these people. And in addition to that, it's our hope that the Sweet Change is successful enough that the center can become self-sufficient without the need for government grants. And we've set a 3-year timetable on that. So I'm having some fun in learning all about chocolate.
Right.
And we have the manufacturing plant is set up at the corner of Gore and Queen in the old Barnes building.
Right.
That's there, and we have about 25 volunteers that come in and do it all. So we're all volunteers, so all of the proceeds go back into to the training programs and the recreation programs that we run.
That's tremendous. But Sault Ste. Marie, for the 30 years I've been here, we've always had a great spirit for volunteering, have we not, in this community?
Yeah, the people in this community are really empathetic, and they do all kinds of good works. And when I did retire from law, I wanted to go back to school and get my doctorate, mainly because I wanted to learn how to write properly. I'd only written legal briefs and lawyer things, and I said, look, there's so many things, experiences that we've had in this community, and I wanted to document some of them. So I went back and took my doctorate in England, and they allowed me to do a study in Sault Ste. Marie, in which I I went out and interviewed 31 different leaders in our community who had been successful in rallying the community for different good projects. During this time, you learn how great people in this city are, and how volunteers come forward whenever there is something that they feel is important, and get together and move forward. And everything that I learned, I didn't want to waste. So we put those training programs on to sort of pass it on and give people, help them to learn how to implement their dreams.
Right. When you were a lawyer, Frank, did you see the need for helping people set up their own businesses, such as the center is doing now? Was there a need back then, and you knew that was a need in our community?
Well, I was always so busy that in doing the things and helping in the areas that I could, that I really didn't understand our community totally.
Right.
And since I've been retired and been invited many times to leaders meetings, and then you get to understand what the great needs are and the job that different peoples are doing.
Right.
It's absolutely amazing what goes on.
With leadership, if somebody's watching and saying, "Well, I think I could be a good leader," is there some criteria that people can ask themselves if they would make a good leadership candidate?
Well, definitely, and actually, that's what I've been teaching or training people, to give them a roadmap to implementing their passions and their dream. And I'm actually going to be broadcasting on the new Borderline Internet radio, where I'm going to be able to record all of them, so that people will be able to follow that roadmap.
Great. Yeah, that's starting up in a new year, and that's an important addition in this community for more information. I think to have as much information available in the community is good for us.
Well, I think it's really important to have organizations like Sioux Online, and then having the internet radio that's going to be there, because, as you know, there's very limited time for local things in the mainstream. So by doing this, like yourself and the members of Sioux Online, you put many of the local things on, so people get to know those things. And the same should happen with internet radio. I know they have plans to have local music and arts, so that we're going to be able to hear the talent, the great talent that we have in our community in both. I was lucky enough to be present at the Bush Plain Museum for a craft show that had over 100 booths of different craftspeople that were there, and I was absolutely amazed at the creative talent in this community over and over again over the years that we've seen it. It's we have the talent, and we have to stick together to demonstrate it and let people know about it.
And promote it as much as we can, really.
Yeah, promotion is everything, right? If I don't know about something, how can I be involved?
How is, when you're out there fundraising for Sweet Change, how is the spirit in the community? How are you being received in 2019?
Well, we're being received very well. People are hearing our story more and more often, and we're very, very fortunate again that our product is amazing. It is the finest Belgian chocolate. Right. And we've been lucky enough to partner with a company called Calabo Chocolate, who have taken us under their wing. It's the first nonprofit organization that I understand that they've been involved with, and I understand they even used what we're doing as something to display at one of their conferences in Chicago last year. So they're helping us and helped us with the equipment and getting the right equipment, and now with the products that we're using. And anybody that tastes the product just says, "Oh, geez, this is amazing." So,
well, exactly. Your product and what you're doing, the Center Good Works, sells itself. Really, you don't have to sell it that hard. People catch on to it.
Well, it's again a matter of people hearing about it. It's always a constant, and you have to keep talking about things so that people will know about them.
Frank, thank you so much for coming in. You're doing good works in the community. You've had a legendary lawyer for 40 years, and now you're doing good works. And we're really fortunate to have you in this community.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to come on whenever you need me.
Thanks so much. We'll be back to wrap up the show after these messages.
Okay, thank you.
Last year we've been celebrating our 65th anniversary, dating back to services originating in our community in 1954, which is quite some time ago. It's been a great opportunity this past year to recognize the pioneers, the stakeholders that worked tirelessly to create what we are today. I'm grateful for everything that the families 65 years ago and the people that assembled the organization have done in order for us to achieve the success that we're experiencing 65 years later.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room, create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place at the right time in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
Welcome back to ONNPoint. Thank Frank Sarlo for being on the show. That was a tremendous show, and he adds a lot to this community. This is the last live show, the best of ONNPoint, coming up during the holidays, and I'll be back in the new year with the great owner of Green Spa and Quattro Hotel and Ward 2 Councillor Lisa Vizzo Allen. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2020.